Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Town Manager Download, a podcast about local government and the town of Shrewsbury. I'm Kevin Mizikar, the Town Manager of the town of Shrewsbury, and as always, I'm joined by Communications Coordinator Taylor Galusha.
In today's episode, we're going to be joined by Kelly Barner, the Chair, and Melanie Bertucci, Secretary of the Historic District Commission, to talk about their interactive walking tour of the historic homes and places located within our historic district in the center of town.
What's going on, Taylor?
I think we both had a fun weekend
We did.
in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
We did.
with
You had
our
a quick stop in
families.
Shrewsbury, though, right?
I did.
Spirit of Shrewsbury.
Yep. So
How was that?
it was good. So
Yeah.
I stopped, or I was here at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday to set up for our town row of booths, basically, which was really cool, at the Spirit of Shrewsbury. So Trails Committee was there, our office, along with Gosha from DPW for Solid Waste and Recycling was there. The 300th Anniversary Committee was there, as well as like the Select Board had a table. The Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee had a table, and so did our Commission on Disability. So it was super exciting to kind of all be grouped together on that and getting them all set up. So it seemed like it was a good day.
Yeah.
I had to take off at noon to make it to
Yeah.
Bridgeport, but
Yeah.
all in all, I think another successful Spirit
Good.
of Shrewsbury
Yeah.
with our town tables. So.
Yeah, so the fun part of, well, that was fun.
It was it was a long day.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Good.
A lot of socializing.
Then in the afternoon/evening,
Yes.
Soundside Music Fest. Mm-hmm. Tell us
I
about
waved
it.
to you from like
Yeah.
a mile apart in the merch line.
That was it.
And that was
There
it.
was way too many people there to find. There was no self-service. Yeah. We had a lot of fun.
For Noah Khan.
Yeah.
It was in the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
I think the split was probably more for Noah Khan,
Yeah.
but I was happy to see the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, the
as
Google Dolls
well.
were awesome, I thought. I thought they were a lot of fun. Weather was a little marginal.
Yeah.
Soaked throughout the course of the day over time. Didn't rain too hard.
And I don't think
Windy.
anyone was really prepared for the weather, but it wasn't too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So I had to tough it out. It was worth it though.
My wife bought the commemorative blanket to keep warm. Overpriced.
Is it usable? Is
No,
it
it's-
soaking wet now?
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be salvageable. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A ton of people. Good music.
Saw a lot of high school
You went on Sunday
friends.
too?
Yep.
You saw a lot of high school friends?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
nice.
was cool. A lot of, because I grew up in Connecticut, so there was a lot of my Connecticut friends at the festival. So I was trying to meet up with them on Saturday.
Nice.
And then Sunday I held my place and I camped out for probably from 1:20 till the end of the concert
wow.
at 10:40 at night,
Yep.
something like that. So I was there the whole time, and
Good.
it was totally worth it. So it was
Well, I
very
don't know
cool.
if you ate on
yeah.
Sunday, but the food was good on
I did-
Saturday.
I had a free Jersey Mike sandwich on Sunday,
There you go.
and that was it. So, and they had water. They were giving us water, and then we grabbed a slice of pizza on the way out. That was very needed. But yeah, I saw Bleachers, Greta Van Fleet, and Jack White right on the barricade, which is very cool. A lot of other talented artists there. So, yeah, it was a long night,
stuff.
but a fun day.
Yeah.
So.
Good deal. What's up in the Shrew?
Well, I think we should highlight again the programs you're working on.
Yeah.
And you've already held one, and it was pretty successful. Do you want to talk about how office hours went for
Yeah,
September?
so I held the first office hour session before the select board's second meeting in September. I thought it went really well. We had 7 total people. One gentleman came a day late, but luckily that was community night,
Yeah.
and we got to meet with him as well. So yeah, I was happy with 7 people coming for that first hour. Really good conversations. Always happy to make connections and build bridges and, move away from misconceptions and things like that and have direct engagement. So I also look forward to continuing on that, community engagement and trust building initiatives with, I'm happy to be joining the Town Center Association at their meeting on October 17th for the first part of my Common Ground Roundtable series. I'm really looking forward to that. So,
I think you talked about it at the select board meeting a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? For
Yeah, so, I mean,
TMDL viewers.
Yeah, so the thought behind it is just to kind of be able to engage with not only community groups, but the residents in general about topics of interest to them and initiatives that the town is rolling out or considering or working through. So there's always going to be things that are going on in town that we'll want to share information on and make sure that we can engage and receive feedback. So this is kind of like my direct one-on-ones or small group interactions with folks to really share the why behind my decision-making processes and how I see things and get their feedback and help shape the outcomes of those projects. So I'm looking forward to it. We have a lot of community engagement prongs or initiatives going on right now, from print media to this podcast to office hours, now Common Ground, and then we started with print. Now we're moving on to other areas, which I think is becoming a pretty robust set of tools that we're using with the community.
Yeah.
So definitely pleased in the directions that it's all going, and look forward to having more direct interaction with residents through these particular programs. So happy the way they started.
You brought up the police department's community night. I think it's worthy of a shout out. We were there at that event as well. I was making little friendship beaded bracelets with all the kiddos. It was super fun, but it was another very successful year for them. I know the community engagement outreach team division in the police department worked really hard on it. Chris Abasha, Ryan Bradley, and Tim Finicom all did an amazing job, and I'm sure there was a ton of other hands behind the scene that helped make it happen, but it was great collaborating to help with some of the little things that they need help with, and have another very successful year for that event.
It was a fun event, and in the middle of it, we snuck over to the Senior Center for their Heroes Award, Volunteer Heroes Award program, which was nice as well. So congrats to not only the police department, but the folks at the Senior Center and Holly Luton and her team for that event that they had that evening. So it was a great night. Cool. A lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to conversation this afternoon with Melanie and Kelly. Particularly going to talk about the walking tour that the Historic District Commission has put together, and dive into what the commission's all about and how it works and what their charge is, and spend a little bit of time talking about the walking tours. So without further ado, let's have Melanie and Kelly join us on the Town Manager Download. So we are happy to be joined by Melanie Petrucci and Kelly Barner of the Historic District Commission, among other things that they do in town. So welcome to the Town Manager Download.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So why don't you guys just do some brief introductions about yourself and specifically your interest in history in the Historic District Commission here in Shrewsbury. So Melanie, I'll start with you.
Oh, good. I'm Melanie Petrucci. I've lived in Shrewsbury for about 24 years. I'm originally from Colorado. It was a job change for my husband that brought us. He's actually from Connecticut, Waterbury.
Nice.
And he went to WPI Northeastern, so it was kind of a homecoming for him. So we have two daughters. They're now in their 20s. Well, one just turned 30. And boy, that makes me sound real.
It's okay.
It's okay. So, so we made the deal that I would be a stay-at-home mom, and we knew that what that was going to entail. But for me, I really wanted to get involved in the community. So right off the bat, I got involved, and I've been involved ever since with one organization or another. I had a brief 6-year period of my life where I was a reporter with a community advocate, and then I stepped away from that to focus a little bit more on family and community service, and I got involved with the Historic District Commission, and gosh, I wish I could remember how long ago that was. But it was way back when Brian Beaton was the chair, and I got involved because I love history. One of the big draws for me to move to this part of the country from Denver was this is where it all started. I mean, this was it for me. It was connecting with some what I consider rock star historical figures, and I have this little crush on John Adams. I mean,
Just a little crush.
Does Abigail now?
huh?
Just rich now.
Well, he does now.
Maybe a better question.
No, he does. So no, it's just I just really enjoy going to various historic sites, and it was one of the draws of moving into Shrewsbury, apart from the fabulous school district that we have. And my husband works for Raytheon, and so that was a big. He said a half-hour commute is all I want. So Shrewsbury, the downtown, the town center, the beautiful, iconic colonial charm. And that's what drew me to the Historic District Commission, was like when I was approached to apply when there was an opening, so many years ago. I was like, yes, that's great, right up my street. And so that's
You've been there
been there
Now you're
since.
here on
Yeah.
a podcast.
Yeah.
I really should find out. And I've said this before. How long has that been? So anyway, that's me.
Awesome. How about you, Kelly? What drew you to the district commission, and maybe your Shrewsbury story as well?
My Shrewsbury story goes back to the very beginning.
Okay.
I grew up here.
Perfect.
Went to Coolidge, went to the original middle school, graduated from Oak, then the high school. So there's something really special about having my kids now all going through the Shrewsbury school system. I've got 2 at the high school, and I've got 1 at Sherwood, all doing sports and in the band, which is awesome. I absolutely love the town. I've lived here except for a very few years when I was young and fun and lived closer to Boston. Immediately realized the error of my ways and came back to Shrewsbury, set up camp right near Dean Park. But what actually drew me to the Historic District Commission was COVID, believe it or not. So everything was shutting down, and it was depressing. And so in an effort to put a positive spin on things, said, okay, what can I do now because of COVID that I would not have been able to do if life had been, I'll use air quotes, which is a bad practice for a podcast, but air quotes, normal. So I got a farm share. I did a virtual ride on the Pan Mass Challenge, and I applied for an open seat on the Historic District Commission. I've also always loved history. I went to Clark University in Worcester, majored in English Lit before 1700 with a minor in history. My history crush, little closer to home, Artemis Ward. He lives right around the corner from me now, so easy to get together midday.
Doesn't go very far.
No, doesn't go very far. House always stays nice and neat. So no issues there, but it's absolutely a wonderful group to be a part of. We have such a set of treasures in Shrewsbury, treasures in the historic district and outside of it. And it's a great just group of people that all share that love of preserving our common past.
Well, both of those stories. Thanks for sharing them. And thanks for your volunteerism on the commission. There takes so many hands to do all the things that the town does, and preserving history and working on the charge of the commission is as important as anything else. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? What does the commission do? What are your responsibilities? And what's a meeting like? I don't know.
Well, it's simple. Maintaining the historical integrity of the exterior of the buildings that are in the district. And that would include the Sumner House, the First Congregational Church, the 1830 schoolhouse, crossing the historic old corner of the cemetery, the 3 stately homes across the 140,
There, Prospect Street.
Yep, right at the Prospect Street divide.
Prospect
Yep.
Street.
Yeah.
And then the library, and then right next to the library, this George Allen House. So the White House, and then we hop skip to the Artemis Ward. They are part of the district, but it's kind of I don't know the story of how that happened, but it's not contiguous.
Okay.
So
And maybe I'll take on the piece about what's a typical meeting like.
Yeah.
So usually what happens at our meetings is we're either discussing ongoing initiatives, like for instance, the CPA funded work to restore gravestones in the historic portion of the cemetery, or we might be fielding what we consider COAs, certificates of appropriateness, from homeowners and building owners in the district. So 9 times out of 10, typical meetings, somebody's there from the First Congregational Church. They're actually wonderful historical preservation partners. And so it's not a matter of buildings not being able to be upkept. It's about keeping them up in a way that is true to the way they should have looked. So if a fence needs to go up, okay, what should the fence be made of, or what should it look like it's made of? Something has to be repainted or reshingled in the case of Artemis Ward. Exactly. What color, what materials. And it's about finding a compromise between modern needs and improved materials, and then that historic look. Our focus is definitely external. Our focus is on things that are visible from a public way. And our focus is on permanent. So, for instance, scarecrows in the common, not in violation. They're temporary friends that are with us for a short, determined amount of time, and then they go back to their homes for the rest of the year. So, not an issue. But we as a group put a lot of thought and care into each of those certificates that comes before us. We have an opportunity to ask questions of the person or the group of people submitting the certificate. And then we vote as a board once all of the questions have been asked. If the certificate passes, we sign it, and off the work goes to be done.
Interesting. So whenever you're just looking at those particular buildings that Melanie named, so the modern buildings within the district don't fall under the commission's purview. Is that correct?
that's correct. Everything on the south side of Main Street, it's not in the district.
Okay.
It's the north side, between the George Allen Building, the library, crossing over 140, the town common, and then you've got the Sumner House, and that's where it ends.
Okay.
And then it just kind of goes back from there.
Interesting. So, do either of you have a favorite part or building within the district that you think about the most?
Do you have a favorite, Melanie?
Can you play favorites on the commission?
I know,
Maybe
this
we
is
shouldn't ask
hard.
this in public.
It's like your children.
No.
It's like your children. Huh.
You have a favorite. Is that what you're
I
saying?
do. I do have my favorite, and it's the Sumner House.
Okay. Yeah.
It has to be the Sumner House.
Yeah. And the Sumner House is the current funeral home right adjacent to the
Right.
common, correct?
Right.
Most people.
The Champa
Yeah.
Funeral Home.
Yeah. Interesting.
It used to be a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Lots of uses.
I love the cemetery.
Yeah.
I know it's not a building,
No, it
but it's
works.
in our district, and especially this time of year, it's very sort of fallish New England, spooky hollow in there.
Yeah.
But it's another place where we've had a lot of work. There's been, for instance, the plaques that were on the Artemis Ward Memorial. The writing started to wear away, so we were able to capture that wording and preserve it. And so we don't get a lot of COAs from there. To be totally honest, but it's still part of our charge, and
Okay.
it's a beautiful part of Shrewsbury Center.
And we were very instrumental in helping shape the applications, the funding applications for CPA funding for the restoration in the old corner. And having, before that funding was granted, we went and received funding for the assessment. That was done a couple years ago.
Okay.
So,
If you want a really good cemetery tour, Justin Dobson.
oh, I know.
He gives the best cemetery tour.
We are really fortunate to have the Historic Society
Oh, they do a good one too.
and the church, and there have been, it's really cool when they have people in the town who take on the persona and they wear a costume, and there's lanterns in the cemetery at dusk, and these characters come to life, and you can make a circuit and learn about these people that are buried there and the life that they led, and interesting little stories. But I'm sure Justin could give a really good one too. So
Less
yeah.
of the historical side, maybe.
The
He has a
histo-
good balance. He has a
yeah,
good
the
balance.
historical
He knows
society.
a lot of things about that cemetery.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate on our commission to have Chris Gustafson, who is a member of the Historical Society. She's a retired teacher from Patton, and she knows if you need anything answered about history, she's your person. It's like an encyclopedic mind of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to look it up.
She knows it. Yeah, she just knows it. So she's a real gem and a real valued resource that we have, as well as the society itself.
Absolutely.
But so we're very fortunate to have her. In fact, she's the one who truly should get credit for the tour herself, because it was kind of her idea that to do it, and then we just sort of came in and to help, and then it evolved into the virtual experience that people can take on their own time.
Let's talk about the tour in some detail. So, what's the purpose of the tour? And
What inspired you to go that route?
yeah, how did you get there?
So Chris had started talking about the tour, and one of the things we very quickly got into discussing as a commission was, if it were hard copy, where would the hard copies live and how would people know to go find them? And we started talking about we could put out a post on Facebook. And sitting in the meeting, I thought to myself, somebody has to have invented an app for this. And so we started to do a little bit of research. We found the Pocket Sites app, which is the basis that the tour is on. And we started kind of playing around with, we knew we wanted to be a walking tour. So Artemis Ward House is not currently on it. That would be a hike. Brownie points for anybody that wants to hike all the way down Main Street to there. But the tour is right now 10 stops focused in the center of town, sort of around the parking lot at the Congregational Church. That's sort of like the home base and the finishing point for the tour. It's about half a mile. But the idea is for it to be self-driven or self-guided. And it's neat because it uses the functionality in your phone to know where you are and the GPS, and then to guide you to the next location. And as you arrive at that next location, it automatically pops up the photograph and a description that we worked on as a team within the commission to write about that location. And so it's just a really nice, easy way. I think the estimate is it's about half a mile. It's about 40 minutes. It was fun putting it together because there's where you think things are when you have your laptop up and you're sitting in your kitchen at home. And then there's where those GPS locations are when you're actually in real life. So I was the crazy lady for a few days wandering around the cemetery with my laptop tethered to my phone, trying to make sure the GPS spots were right. But it's supposed to be accessible is really the biggest thing, that everybody sits and looks at all these beautiful locations in Shrewsbury's town center. But what do we really know about them? What do we know about the people who built them and who lived there and why they've been preserved for so long?
Right. And the reason why they were preserved was when, in the 70s, I believe it was, the town created the district itself. And so these properties were identified way back then that they should be encapsulated within the district.
So outside of Artemis Ward's house, are we going to see all the properties that are protected on the walking tour? What specifically in the cemetery will folks get to experience?
So I think the nice thing about the cemetery is that we take them right up to the edge, and we're actually we've talked about the opportunity in the future of making a cemetery-specific tour because there is so much in there. But basically, we walk you right up to the gates, so you have the option to go inside or not. Even from that vantage point, there's several notable monuments and stones and things that you can see. And so you sort of go right from the church to the cemetery, get a sense of the years that we're talking about in terms of this history. And then from there, it routes you back up to the common to safely and responsibly cross the street at the crosswalk, see a few of the gorgeous private homes we talked about. They're up towards Prospect Street. And then, of course, the older section of the library and down to George Allen. And then once again, safely walks you right back across the street so that you can see the Sumner House or Champa before looking at 1830 and returning to your car.
So about the cemetery, I think it's kind of important to point out that there are still, to this day, descendants of some of the notable town fathers and mothers that live here.
They're still alive. Yeah.
They're
yeah,
still
Yeah.
living here in Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Right.
And I think from that standpoint, and the fact that some of them participated, they were Minutemen
Okay.
in Lexington
Yep.
on that day, April 19th, that moment in time, that were from Shrewsbury, and they are buried there. Same thing with some Civil War veterans. So it's very important to preserve that history that is so necessary in my view.
Absolutely,
It's and that's why we went and applied for funding. It's just critical in my view that
Let's talk about the funding. How did that come to be? What funds did you seek? Are you talking about preservation funding? Was that
CPA funding.
for the tour itself?
Oh, not for the tour.
For the preservation of that.
For
the
the
stones,
just for the preservation. How did we get the funding? I think it was something that because it's there's multiple uses for this platform. I think the Department of Planning and Economic Development procured it for us.
We were basically able to make the case not just for using the tour for our purposes or the tour platform for our purposes, but the other things that could be done in town. So it was a town commitment to get that funding so that we could build the tour out and then make it available.
So this is just one tour that
Correct.
that is available. There could be multiple on this platform from the town.
So how do people directly access it? So if you're looking for the app, you're in the App Store, you're in the Google equivalent,
Google Play
the Play Store. How do you get it? What do you search for?
Well, we have a flyer
Okay,
and we have a QR code
you can go right there. Okay,
that you can scan it, and there's also a link. So if you don't have a phone or you have access to a computer, you can download the tour itself.
okay,
But the QR code takes you right into the app.
okay.
So, but I'm sure that if you go on either one of those, the Apple or the Google, it's called Pocket.
Pocket Sites,
Sites.
SIGHTS.
Okay.
If you search for it, you'll download the whole app, which actually gives you lots of tours.
Interesting.
Plenty of other tours in Massachusetts. One of our reasons for choosing it was that there were other historic districts and towns using the tour. And so we knew that it was a good platform. It was something that was working locally. And once you're in there, you just search for Shrewsbury and our historic plaque will pop right up and you can get the tour started.
Great. That's interesting. I didn't realize it was a multi-venue option through the single app.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So value for the town's money.
Absolutely. So you had mentioned maybe getting in a little bit deeper into a cemetery-specific tour. Any other thoughts that the commission may have on tours? Do you plan to include the Artemis Ward House at some point? Is there a good opportunity to do that? Or I know that's, kind of under the care of Harvard University. So does that provide a challenge in any way? Or what are thoughts?
Well, director or the on-site person here in Shrewsbury, I think if it's still Paula Lepton, somebody out there, phone in and let us know. She used to be on the Historic District Commission, so she's a friend
Sure.
to us, and I don't know if there would be any problem. That would be something down the road if it became a problem. I'm sure that we could work out whatever, what if an issue cropped up. But we have talked about that. And I don't think that it would be a problem to add it at some future time. Our main concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just getting from the center of town in a safe manner
Sure.
down. It was just a safety.
We wanted it to be
concern.
contained, like really easy to use.
Yeah.
The other opportunity that we have is that it doesn't have to be historic properties. So maybe this is an opportunity for cross-commission collaboration. The garden club could make use of it. If there was a group in town that wanted to do a tour of Christmas lights, we could do that. It is meant to be walking tours, so you're thinking of relatively contained areas. There has to be access to parking. But really creativity sort of defines the limits of what it can do. And if somebody has an idea, reach out and get on our agenda. We're glad to share what we've learned.
And we also did reach out to the stakeholders, property owners, and for those that are interested in pursuing this, please be respectful of
Correct.
of the because there are private homes that are involved. Just don't trespass, please, and be respectful, and no photography of the owners and their guests. We ask politely.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay on the sidewalk, basically.
Stay on the sidewalk.
Gaze from a distance.
Gaze, well, sidewalk
short
is
distance.
good, and just be respectful of privacy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is very important to make sure that everyone can enjoy the peaceful use of their private property, and we get to see the benefit of,
Right.
of the tour, and people can learn more about the history that's associated with it. So, well, I think this is great. I mean, we've been trying to do a lot. Podcast being one of those venues of finding ways to have more resident engagement across the board. And it takes all aspects of the organization to do that and really put this information out there. And I think this is a really unique and exciting opportunity that residents and visitors can have to learn more about Shrewsbury. And I won't call it a passive way. It's very active on their own, but
absolutely.
it's certainly on their own and very informal, which is an interesting approach. So it's one of the things that I think we need all boards and committees really coming together to find ways to continue to make the town what it is, and be the best and best that we can, best for our residents, best for visitors, best for folks who may be coming into the area and want a little piece of history of what Shrewsbury has. So before we let you go, I have a very fun question, though. We'd like to have a fun little segment called The Best, right? We want to be the best. We want to be the best local government in the world, so we have to find a question to ask all of our guests, something about the best. So my question for both of you is, what is the best historic place that you've ever visited outside of the Shrewsbury Historic District, though? Best historic place.
What's the parameter?
The Earth.
The Earth.
Yep.
Really narrowing it down. So I'll go first because this question has been stressing me out all day. Oh no! Melanie brought up earlier about choosing between your favorite children. I love history so much. All day long I would think, oh, this is it. And then, no, but I also love this other place. So for me, it's sort of a three-way tie.
Okay.
The Wayside Inn in Sudbury. Absolutely love that place. Not quite a historic property, but the American Heritage Museum in Hudson, Massachusetts. All of the tanks and planes and war memorabilia and uniforms and things that they have displayed there, not to mention their docents are second to none in terms of providing you with information. But if I get a stretch pick, I'm completely going Tower of London. Oh. I got to get a little bit of England on there.
Nice.
Did I leave any spots for you?
You did. You did. I have to say the Colosseum in Rome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
I bet.
That was outstanding. Chichen Itza. That was pretty darn cool.
Wow. So good travels.
But third way, I love Minuteman Park
Yes.
and the North Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. The North Bridge? Did I get
It is.
That's what it's called.
The North
Yep, where they do the
Bridge.
reenactments.
and
Yep.
and
Shot heard around the world.
my heart just skips a beat. I just love that. Yeah.
Taylor, maybe we should have gone last on these ones.
No, I
We're
got.
getting-
I
about
got
you
two.
guys?
I can do a out of America one. I can do an in America one. Out of America, as our viewers may know, my sister does live in Ireland right now, and
I should have mentioned.
my favorite. I was an English major as well in college, so. My favorite place I got to visit there was the Trinity College Library.
Amazing.
And see it was just like a very incredible, like chilling experience. Just like looking up and it was under renovation too. Like I didn't even get like the full but it was still like absolutely incredible
the Book of
being there.
Kells.
Yes. Yep. Book of Kells was like very, very cool.
Have you been there?
I haven't been.
You need to go.
Okay, booking it right after this
Book it
podcast.
right now. I'll give you all the other ones we went to too. And then actually the town I grew up in Connecticut, Weathersfield is the oldest town in Connecticut. So we have a very nice historic district as well. And one of the cool pieces of lore from Weathersfield was they did have, it's sad, but it's cool that we lived in a town that had deep history. We did have witch trials in Weathersfield, and Hartford was one of the first places to have them. And so there's a book called The Witch of Blackbird Pond.
Oh, absolutely.
That's Weathersfield. Yeah, that's Weathersfield.
That was one of my
So, like, the house
favorite
is in-
childhood
Yeah, so the
books.
house is in our town, and once a year they'll do like a reading of the kids version of it at the property.
Oh man.
Which one of I remember that when I was little. But
that's
yeah, we used to do walking tours all the time down there. We have there's oh my gosh. Oh, it was the Red House, but it's yellow now to be more historical. But George Washington had stayed there the night before the Battle of Yorktown, and that's where him and Marquis de Lafayette planned Battle of Yorktown.
Oh wow.
It's just one night, but
That
it's
is
our
cool.
claim to fame.
Very
It's
important
because
night, though.
It's beautiful.
If you had to have a night, that was sort of the
right.
night to get.
Weathersfield.
Weathersfield, Connecticut.
Day trip.
It is. There's
No,
plenty
maybe
of-
stay at the inn.
Oh yeah, you can stay.
Can you stay at the inn?
No, but
No,
across the street there's a bed and breakfast that
Okay.
my aunt and uncle have stayed at. That's very lovely. And one of our employees, I recommended them to stay there too.
Awesome.
Your turn.
All right. You guys have me way outweighed here. So I think most folks know I've mentioned this. I worked in the White House for 6 months, so I've been through some pretty cool parts of the White House, including the underground aspects of the old executive office building. I think
That's pretty cool.
it's a more modern thing than some of the stuff that you discussed, though. So there's a room within the old executive office building called the Indian Treaty Room, and it's the vice president's ceremonial office, and all the vice presidents sign their name inside like the main drawer of the desk.
that's
So
cool.
seeing
That is
seeing
cool.
that sitting at that desk is
really
pretty
cool.
cool. But I'll bring it all back to John Adams. So whenever I was the town administrator in Leicester, we bought a historic home to gain some property for a fire station. It was called White's Tavern. It's right on the corner of 56 and Main Street in Shrewsbury, and it was built in the 1700s. And John Adams was actually town council to the town of Leicester, so he stayed in that tavern there whenever he would come into town.
Wait, you said Shrewsbury?
Or you meant
Leicester.
Leicester.
In
that's
Leicester.
what I said.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So in
Okay.
Leicester. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we bought
that's
it.
a
It was a
quicker
working
day trip.
tavern, a beautiful old home that was built around it, but
And it's is working tavern now?
it is
still?
not. No,
No.
it's property of the town. I'm not
okay.
exactly sure what they're doing with it today, but temporarily put the library in there while they were renovating. But it was cool to be in there by
that is
myself.
cool.
At times, you can still see all the historic fireplace, and the most of the architecturals have been preserved. So
You kept
Yeah.
up. That was pretty on par with the rest of us.
See, that's another thing about living where we do.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many.
It's a little,
So many in so close,
Yeah.
so close.
I love it.
well, I really appreciate both of your time.
This is fun.
This
Glad
is
to be
really
And knowledge.
Thank
yeah,
you.
and knowledge and all the time that you spend working on the Historic District Commission and preserving and maintaining that history that we all love to talk about. It means a lot, and someone has to do it and stand our ground to maintain what's here and make sure it doesn't get thrown to the wayside. So appreciate you coming on and talking about the
you very
tour and being able to share that history with so many people who avail themselves of the tour in such a unique way. This has been another great conversation on the Town Manager Download. Just a reminder to our guests, or to our listeners and guests, if you have a question or a comment, you can reach us at tmdownload@shrewsburyma.gov. On behalf of Taylor Galusha, I'm Kevin Mizikar. Thank you for listening.